You're listening to DIY World Improvement. I'm your host, Catherine Carlozzi. You probably weren't aware that March is National Frozen Food, Flour, Noodle, and Peanut Month. You ever wonder who makes these things up? It's also National Music in Our Schools Month, and in celebration of that, I have two guests who are doing everything they can to ensure that there is music in our schools, in spite of all the budget cuts in arts programs. Andrew Davis created the Music Empowers Foundation just over a year ago as a wonderful living memorial to his late wife, Carol. Based in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, the foundation supports programs that provide music instruction to kids in communities where there is little or no access to it. Before he retired in 2008, Andy was a marketing executive who spent more than 30 years at Procter & Gamble and Wyeth Pharmaceutical. He helped launch or grow many of the products in your medicine cabinet: Centrum, Chapstick, Robitussin, and Advil, one of the most successful product launches ever. These days, instead of growing products, Andy is growing kids through involvement in music. David Wish is a musician, a teacher, and a social entrepreneur. All those facets were at work when Dave founded Little Kids Rock in San Francisco in 2002. According to the Little Kids Rock Manifesto, the 4 R's are readin', writin', arithmetic, and rock, and every kid deserves music education. LKR funds and runs one of the largest free instrumental music programs in American public schools and also provides free instruments and curricula. It's based in Cedar Grove, New Jersey, my town. As you might guess, there's plenty of synergy between these music men and their organizations. So, welcome to DIY World Improvement, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. It's great to be here.
I want to start with a fundamental question. Why music education?
Well, I think that for children, music education and the arts in general are sort of like oxygen. It's the kind of thing that gets them energized. It's the thing that keeps them engaged in school. It's the thing that makes the more skills-oriented, task-oriented parts of their education more tolerable. I just have seen it firsthand through my work as a first-grade school teacher of 10 years and then over the last 10 years running Little Kids Rock, the difference that it makes in a child's life. And putting a finer point on it, because it's not just about having fun and it's not just about energizing children. I'd say two important things to consider are that children, and I think this has to go with adults too, who know what it means to be in touch with their creative side, are infinitely less attracted to the cheap thrills of destructive behaviors. It's just more gratifying to create something than it is to destroy something, I believe. And given an option, children will gravitate towards that. The other conclusion that I come to often when I think about arts education, every subject area has its special gift that it brings to the children. Literature brings a certain gift, and the science of math and et cetera. All of those things do. One of the things that I believe that music and arts in general bring to children, that creativity thing, which is sometimes extolled and sometimes maligned, but often misunderstood, put in hard practical terms, goes something like this. We're going to hand our children a whole retinue of intractable social ills that are not of their creation and yet will be their inheritance from us. The future of our species actually doesn't just lie in those children's hands. It lies in their ability to be creative problem solvers. The best way that I've found to ensure that children can be creative in their thinking is to keep arts in schools.
I do not disagree with that. Andy?
Well, I certainly don't disagree with that. If you look at the mission statement of Music Empowers, one of the things that we try to focus on is that music seems to create this spark of creativity in kids. And, once you've tapped into that, it allows kids to create, as David said, and that creates a sense of accomplishments in kids. And once they have a sense of accomplishment in one area, that seems to spread to out other areas of their life, whether it be academic, participating in community activities, leadership, social interactions with their friends. A lot of things seem to change around. So music, not only is great and fun to learn, but it seems to have real social, academic, intellectual ramifications for these kids. Changes their lives. So it's very important.
And I know that, and certainly on your websites, there are a lot of statistics and a lot of studies that you can point to with facts about what happens with children when they're involved with music in terms of things like their math scores, staying in school, how well they do on all kinds of academic tests and just in general in school because of the discipline of music and because music certainly does have some mathematical basis.
Absolutely.
I would certainly point listeners to that. It goes beyond just the creativity into the discipline of music itself.
It definitely does. I mean, I think one of the cool things, and this is not my unique observation, but a lot of talk about building 21st century skills in children these days to allow them to to deal with the global economy and the very complex societal issues that are hitting us now and are going to be coming down the pike. Music seems to be a catalyst and a stimulant that creates the development of so many of those necessary skills, whether it be problem solving, as David mentioned, the ability to look and find multiple solutions to problems, the ability to lead, take risks, and I think also people that learn and play music, they know the hard work it takes to get good at it. They've got a great deal of perseverance, and I think studying music builds that as well, and we need leaders who are going to persevere and keep at it.
One thing I would add while we're on the macro high level, this is where all the flowery rhetoric can come out. I think that the other thing to consider about the arts and music in the schools is the role of the arts and music in this American context, and to take that context in a global context. The winds of fortune are capricious and they blow one way or the other, and when we were all children, the idea of India as a superpower or China as a superpower seems somewhat remote. And we've seen great changes, and we continue to see great changes in the United States' role in the global community. And there's a lot of debate about that. I would say one thing that there's not much debate on is whether or not the United States remains the global leader in cultural export. And it is. And what is it that we're exporting? It's our arts. It's our films. It's our music. It's our television. It is the American art form. That is the one area that I think there's no real debate. And it also provides an economic lever that the United States can either invest in and maintain that head start over other nations, or one that we can abdicate and eventually, by not tending to, lose ground and lose relevance.
I think I would add that music is a universal language. You can get kids together and I've talked to kids who've been to, for example, Rwanda, and, maybe they can't speak the language, but music, even if it's not music they're familiar with, is a universal language. And I think that people can relate through music. And certainly with music being one of our big global exports, I think kids all over the world can relate to the music they're all listening to collectively.
Absolutely.
Dave, Little Kids Rock, since your organization's been around the longest, I'm going to put you in the hot seat first and give you a chance to tell us how you came up with the idea, how you got started, and how it evolved, and also how it works.
So Little Kids Rock was a great big accident. I was working as a first grade school teacher in a low-income school in California that had no music program, and I loved that job. It was fantastic. I had the privilege of teaching inner city kids to read all day long and make sure that they could transition and be successful students and get them on the right track. Somewhere along the line, the fact that there was no music in the school started to bother me. It became a sore spot. I'm a musician as well as a teacher, and I play a number of instruments, primarily guitar, and I was like, well, you know what? If it's bugging me so much, why don't I just make that problem go away for my students? So I started a single guitar class for my 20-some-odd first grade students, and we met a couple days a week after school. And before we even got started, I went down to the local music store, as any good teacher would, to get a curriculum. And I took out How to Play Guitar Volume 1 and saw, Merrily We Roll Along. So I opted out of that one, and then I got the next How to Play Guitar, and there was Red River Valley, and I won't use that one. And I got to the bottom of the pile, and I was like, wow, I don't find any of this compelling to me as an educator, and I'm sure not going to bring this to my students,
to the kids,
as learners. So why don't I do this instead? I went into the classroom, first day of class, and gave every child an index card. And I said, on one side, I want you to write your 10 favorite songs, and on the other side, I want you to write your 10 favorite bands. And that's what we're going to do all year long. And that's exactly what we did. There was wild enthusiasm, both on their part and mine, for the activities we were engaged in. I used to always wake up excited to go to school, and I think all great teachers do. But I found myself being doubly excited. I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to do this lesson plan. But then after school, when that guitar class meets, I can't wait to show them this Selena song. It's the same chords as da-da-da, and, it started to take up a greater and greater percentage of my mind share. And also, many other children throughout the school wanted in, so I started opening other sections. The classes began to sort of distinguish themselves through the following three characteristics. One, the children were learning to play quickly and easily. Two, they were playing the music that they knew and loved. And three, they were composing their own music. It just became this obsessive hobby. I had classes classes every day before school, classes every day after school, and it got to the point where I couldn't take on any more students. And so I opted, rather than turn kids away, train other teachers to say, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. You can do it too. I know you play. Let me get you some instruments, etc. At that point, it started to feel like a program, and it replicated, and that's sort of, I left the classroom and started Little Kids Rock, and that's what we've been doing ever since.
Wow. You're now in 10 states?
Well, 11, because we just opened up in Minneapolis this month.
Before we go on, I think I'd like to listen to one of the songs done by a Little Kids Rock student called Somehow Beautiful. And from the time I first heard it, I have not been able to get it out of my head. It's performed by a student named Mary Grace with singer-songwriter David Hendricks on guitar. Is David one of the teachers?
David is her teacher, yep.
Okay, great.
Walking through the doors, it's my very first day here. I see your face and I go to sit there. I notice that you are different from the rest. You're dangerous and mysterious, but there's something else. 'Cause that one day I saw all the light, I saw the purpose, the meaning of life right then. And right there I found what I was looking for. I saw your beautiful eyes looking up at me. I finally found the missing part of me. It's dangerous and mysterious and somehow beautiful. Everywhere I go, everything that I do, in my mind I see a reflection of you. You always cross my mind, you're always by my side. It's insanity when I look into your eyes. Because that one day I saw all the light, I saw the purpose, the meaning of life right then. And right there I found what I was looking for. I saw your beautiful eyes looking up at me. I finally found the missing part of me. It's dangerous and mysterious and somehow beautiful. There's a problem filling your mind. I can see it lurking in your eyes. You can tell me, you can trust me, everything will be alright. 'Cause that one day I saw all the light, I saw the purpose, the meaning of life right then. And right there I found what I was looking for. I saw your beautiful eyes looking up at me. I finally found the missing part of me. It's dangerous and mysterious and somehow beautiful. I walked into the doors, it was my very first day. I saw your face and I went to sit there. I know that you are different from the rest. You're dangerous and mysterious, yet somehow beautiful.
While we were listening to Mary Grace, and I understand she actually also was playing guitar, Dave told us that she's an elementary school student and probably was about 9 years old when she recorded that.
You're listening to DIY World Improvement. I'm your host, Catherine Carlozzi. You probably weren't aware that March is National Frozen Food, Flour, Noodle, and Peanut Month. You ever wonder who makes these things up? It's also National Music in Our Schools Month, and in celebration of that, I have two guests who are doing everything they can to ensure that there is music in our schools, in spite of all the budget cuts in arts programs. Andrew Davis created the Music Empowers Foundation just over a year ago as a wonderful living memorial to his late wife, Carol. The Little Kids Rock Manifesto, the 4 R's are readin', writin', arithmetic, and rock, and every kid deserves music education. LKR funds and runs one of the largest free instrumental music programs in American public schools and also provides free instruments and curricula. It's based in Cedar Grove, New Jersey, my town. As you might know, based in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, the foundation supports programs that provide music instruction to kids in communities where there is little or no access to it. Before he retired in 2008, Andy was a marketing executive who spent more than 30 years at Procter & Gamble and Wyeth Pharmaceutical. He helped launch or grow many of the products in your medicine cabinet: Centrum, Chapstick, Robitussin, and Advil, one of the most successful product launches ever. These days, instead of growing products, Andy is growing kids through involvement in music. David Wish is a musician, a teacher, and a social entrepreneur. All those facets were at work when Dave founded Little Kids Rock in San Francisco in 2002. According to